Okay, so ready for this. We're diving deep into coffee, but not the kind you think.
Definitely not a latte art tutorial.
We're talking coffee and philosophy. Seriously.
It's a fascinating blend when you think about it.
Right, like you probably love your coffee, maybe even consider yourself a bit of a connoisseur.
I know I do.
But get ready to see your morning cup in a whole new light, because today we're uncovering how coffee went from like a simple bean to this like cultural phenomenon that's basically shaped human thought.
It's a journey that spans centuries and continents.
No kidding. Okay, so to kick things off, let's go back, way back, to coffee's origin story. And I'm not talking about those Ethiopian beans we all know and love, though they're definitely part of the story. I'm talking about coffee's early connection to, get this, Sufi mysticism.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. Coffee played a surprisingly significant role in those circles.
Surprising is an understatement.
Yeah.
They called it, wait for it, the wine of the righteous.
Which is super interesting because it hints at this idea that coffee, like certain spiritual practices, can kind of induce this heightened sense of awareness.
Wine of the righteous.
Uh,
I kind of love that.
right.
Although maybe not the best substitute for like actual wine at your next dinner party.
Probably not.
But seriously, it's incredible to think that this drink, this thing so many of us rely on for that morning boost, was like intertwined with spiritual practices centuries ago.
Absolutely. It adds a whole other dimension to your morning cup, doesn't it?
Totally. But the story doesn't stop there. This is where it gets even more interesting. So coffee's social status, it takes off pretty early on. We're talking 15th century Arab coffee houses, these bustling hubs where people gathered to like discuss everything under the sun.
Oh, absolutely. Those coffee houses weren't just places to grab a drink. They were like cultural centers, vibrant spaces for exchanging ideas and engaging in lively debates.
So basically the 17th century version of a coffee shop with wifey.
Pretty much. But with more, philosophical sparring. People from all walks of life would gather to debate everything from tribal matters to poetry.
It's like the original Penny University. Remember we read about those?
Oh, yeah, the European coffee houses that became these incredible hubs for intellectual discourse during the Enlightenment.
All for the price of a cup of coffee.
Exactly. It was like democratizing knowledge, one cup at a time.
I love that. But it wasn't just the setting, right? Like coffee wasn't just this passive backdrop for all this intellectual buzz. It was actually fueling these great thinkers.
You're exactly right.
We're talking like major philosophical heavy hitters.
Think Francis Bacon. This is a major figure in the scientific revolution. He called coffee a source of, get this, life, wisdom, and courage.
Well, there you go. Case closed.
Right. And while we now understand the science behind coffee's stimulating effect, there's also something to be said about the ritual of it all, don't you think?
Totally.
Figures like Kant and Hobbes, these are big names in philosophy. They used coffee to structure their days, to fuel their thinking. It was as much about the ritual as it was about the caffeine itself.
Okay, so you're saying my daily cold brew habit is basically me channeling my inner philosopher.
Maybe just a little bit.
I knew there was a reason I loved this stuff so much. But speaking of philosophers, let's shift gears a bit to a group that really took this whole coffee house culture to a whole new level. The existentialists.
Talk about intense coffee breaks, right?
Right. It's no coincidence that existentialism, this philosophy that grapples with questions of individual meaning and freedom and all that, flourished in those Parisian cafes of the 20th century.
Oh, those cafes were like their intellectual playground.
Exactly. And we can't talk about existentialism and coffee without mentioning the power couple themselves, Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir.
Sipping espresso and debating the very nature of existence.
I can practically hear the clinking of cups and the murmurs of deep conversation.
It's almost like you can taste the angst in the air along with that strong, dark coffee.
And Sartre, he was really onto something. I mean, the way he connects coffee's bitterness to his whole view of existence, like both are kind of harsh, unforgiving, yet somehow essential.
It's deep.
That's like the taste of existentialism in a cup. But this whole philosophical cafe thing, it didn't stay confined to Paris, did it? I mean, you've got philosophical cafes popping up everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. The concept just exploded.
It's like this perfect pairing, coffee and big questions.
It makes sense, right?
Totally. It's like coffee has this unique ability to bring people together and get those mental gears turning.
100%. It's a global phenomenon.
Who knew coffee had such a profound impact on like the history of ideas? From sparking the Enlightenment to fueling existential debates, it's really quite amazing.
And speaking of sparking ideas, we'd be remiss not to mention coffee's influence on literature.
Right. Like we've gone from like these ancient rituals to philosophical movements.
And through it all, coffee's right there in the mix.
It's like this secret ingredient in the recipe for human creativity.
I like that. And it's not just that writers, drank coffee.
Which, let's be honest, a lot of them did.
Oh, yeah, tons of them.
But it's more than that, right? It's like coffee itself became this like literary device.
Absolutely. A symbol
Mhm.
for inspiration, focus, even like those existential struggles we were just talking about.
And each writer kind of had their own unique take on it.
Totally. Take Honoré de Balzac, for example. This guy, he was practically fueled by coffee.
Didn't he claim to drink like gallons of this stuff?
Something like that. He downed cup after cup while he was writing, and he even said, coffee falls into the stomach. Ideas begin to move.
There you have it, folks.
Hmm.
Coffee, the engine of imagination.
Right. It's like he believed there was this direct connection between the coffee and his creativity.
It's kind of inspiring in a way.
It is, although I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying to match his coffee intake.
Yeah, maybe not. But it's interesting to contrast Balzac with someone like Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Another literary giant, but his relationship with coffee was a bit different.
Right. It wasn't so much about like finding inspiration,
It was more about like keeping up with it.
fueling those late night writing sessions.
Exactly. Dostoevsky was known for these intense caffeine-powered marathons, just like pushing through to explore these really complex themes in his work.
It's like he used coffee to keep pace with his own mind.
Which, let's be honest, was probably a pretty wild place to be.
I can only imagine. But it's fascinating how both these writers, Balzac and Dostoevsky, they both relied on coffee, but for different reasons.
Totally. It speaks to the versatility of coffee, I guess.
It really does. But you know who else had a fascinating take on coffee and literature?
Let me guess. T.S. Eliot.
You know it. That line from the love song of Geoffrey Prufrock, I have measured out my life with coffee spoons.
Ah, that line gets me every time.
Right. It's so simple, but so profound.
It's like this perfect encapsulation of like the passage of time, the feeling of monotony, maybe even like a little bit of regret.
And it's all tied to this ordinary object, a coffee spoon.
It's brilliant. Eliot takes something so commonplace, so everyday, and elevates it to this really powerful metaphor for like the human experience.
It really makes you appreciate the power of language.
It does. And it also kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it?
How so?
There's often so much more to things than meets the eye.
It's all about peeling back those layers, right?
Exactly.
But maybe we should bring this back down to earth for a moment.
Okay, yeah, good idea.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from like these grand historical movements to like deep literary analysis.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. But at the end of the day, coffee is also this really personal thing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. It's like this daily ritual that's infused with all these personal preferences and cultural influences and
And those preferences, they can tell you a lot about a person.
100%.
It's like, remember that excerpt we talked about, the one about Syrian coffee rituals?
Oh, yeah. How they prepare and serve coffee can be so different depending on the region.
Right. And it's not just like a random thing, you know, it's connected to all these like specific customs and social dynamics.
Totally. Like that thing with the Bedouin tribes where the size of the coffee pot like indicates the host's status. So
It's amazing. I never would have thought about it that way before.
right. It's like coffee's not just this drink. It's this whole reflection of culture and history and
And individual personality too.
yeah,
Like the way you take your coffee says something about you.
100%.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you really think about it. Like we started with this simple cup of coffee.
And we've gone everywhere.
Seriously. Sufi mystics, penny universities, existentialist cafes, even like dissecting poetry.
All thanks to coffee.
Who knew there was so much to discover in a single cup?
Right.
And through it all, we've seen how coffee is this really personal thing.
Absolutely. But also something that connects us all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to that quote you mentioned earlier, the one from Mahmoud Darwish.
Oh, yeah. No coffee is like another because no soul resembles another.
So good. It's like each cup, each person is totally unique.
Exactly. And I think that's the perfect note to like wrap things up.
It really is. So next time you're, making your coffee, whatever your routine is,
Take a moment to appreciate it.
right. Think about the journey, the history,
The culture.
all those things we talked about.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. Well, there you have it. A deep dive into the unexpected and, let's be honest, pretty amazing world of coffee and philosophy.
Who knew there was so much to discover?
And to our listener, keep exploring those fascinating questions.
And keep brewing those thought-provoking cups of coffee.